Hi, I'm Kelly from Kelly J Jewellery. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this crazy looking pendant. So I'll put a list of everything you'll need in the description below. So let's get started. So to make this pendant you'll need 0.7mm wire, which is 21 gauge, and I've cut 5 lengths at 13 inches, which is 33 centimetres. I'm using 0.25mm weaving wire, which is 30 gauge. I've wound 200 centimetres onto my bobbin. This is a Bobeeze bobbin by Beadsmith. If you don't have one of these, don't worry. I just think it makes it easier with working with the longer lengths. You just reel that off and it sits down by your side. If you don't have one, don't worry, you can just cut shorter lengths as you go. What else have we got? So we've got a big oval cab here today. So this one is quite big. It's 40 by 25 for my quite a large pumpkin I'm going to be doing today. I've got a selection of small beads, 4mm, 3 and 2mm. And when you buy your beads, always check the hole size. Can't hold it. Always check the hole size to make sure you can fit your wire, to make sure you can fit your base wires through there, because sometimes the holes are really tiny and you just won't get them on your wire. What else? Tools. So I've got my pliers, round nose pliers, cutters, nylon pliers. If you don't have nylon pliers, don't worry. I just like having these handy for straightening the wires, compressing and flattening the weaves. All my tools are Tronex, and I'll put a list of all these in the description below. So let's get started. Extras for our pumpkin today. If you've got bail pliers as well, super handy for doing the bail, but if not, don't worry, because you can just bend it over with your fingers. I've got some of these little plastic leaves. They're quite cute. They've got a hole so I can thread them on like a bead. Anything like that would be great for this pumpkin. So any little findings you can find online. I think I got these off Etsy years ago. I don't know where from. But on an Etsy shop, these are quite cute. So anything like that does add to this pendant. So cut your wires to the lengths that I have. Position your thumb centrally along those wires. We're going to take one wire away just for a minute. And we're going to start weaving just to the left of your thumb. So we're weaving across 4 wires. So take your weaving wire, and we'll start with a few wraps around the bottom wire. So then we'll go around 2 wires, coming up between those 2 wires. Go around the middle 2 wires, coming up in between those 2 wires. Go over the top, wrapping around the top 2 wires. Hold on, just sorting them out. Come up between. So we've gone around 2 wires and come up between all the way up to the top. So on the way back down, we go around each wire. So we go around the top wire, come up in between the middle 2, go around the 3rd wire, come up between the bottom 2 wires, go around the 2nd wire, and then go around the bottom wire. And we're going to repeat that another couple of times. So we go around 2 wires on the way up, and we go around each wire on the way back down. So we'll do that twice more. So if you're using thicker wire, you won't need to do as many repeats. Because I'm using the finer wire, I can get more repeats in there, so you'll only have to do a couple. So at this point I've done 3. I'm now going to add that other wire from the beginning, so line that up so it's the ends are the same as the other wires, and all we're going to do is add it into the weave. If your stone is smaller than mine, you'll also need to do less weave repeats. So holding that wire in place now, we're going to do exactly the same weave, but we're going to include that wire. And then go around each wire on the way back down, the same as you did before. So I've done 2 repeats with all 5 wires. And now I'm going to do 3 repeats with just the 4 wires, as we did at the beginning. So you're missing out the top wire for those last 3 repeats. Compress it all together. I like to flatten my weave with nylon pliers. So we've got it all tied together. We need to finish with 3 wraps around this bottom wire. And you can then cut that weaving wire at both ends and press down those little cut ends with your pliers. So next we're going to shape this around the stone. So I'm putting a slight curve in it to start with. And we're going sideways, so you've got to try and hold it. I'm going to leave out the top 2 wires, and I'm going to take the bottom 3 around the stone, keeping it pressed down on a flat surface so we're not wrestling with it too much. Trying to keep that nice and central. Leave out the top 2 wires for a minute. I'll take those 3 around the side. So holding the move down over the sides, bring the wires together above. Check your weave is central. And then holding that in place the best you can. Where those wires come up at the top, we're going to bend them off. Now to give it a bit more strength, we're going to add a weave across this bit here, just across the 3 wires. So I'm going to bring these 2 just up so they're out the way for now. But they are going to come up and join into the top, but we don't want them in that weave. I'm going to pull them over that side, just so they're not going to keep getting in the way. So we're going to weave across these 3. I'm going to part the wires here. So just weaving across the 3 wires on this side, just to give it a bit of strength. Try not to let your wires cross over like mine have. Take your weaving wire and wrap 3 times around the bottom wire. And pull that down. And then we'll do the same weave as we did before. So we go around 2, coming up in between those 2, go around the top 2, coming up between those 2, go around the top wire, coming up between the bottom 2, whoops, go around the middle wire, go around the bottom wire. I've done 3 repeats of that weave, and I'll finish with 3 wraps around the bottom wire. Push it together the best you can. And cut that weaving wire at both ends and press down those little cut ends. Then we'll do that weave on the other side to give that side the same, a bit of strength too. Pull those middle wires over to the other side a little so they're out the way. Make sure your wires aren't crossing over each other. I'm going to part them there just to make it a bit easier to hold. I'm going to start with 3 wraps around the top wire because we're working the other side. Slide that down to the same kind of place. Making sure my wires aren't crossing over each other. They're trying. And we're just going to do the same weave. So seeing as we've started at the top, we wrap around each wire all the way down. That's Gracie making all the noise. My little pug. And just that same weave and do the same amount of repeats as well. Finish with 3 wraps around the top wire because we started at the top on that one. Cut the weaving wire at both ends. Press down those little cut ends with your pliers. I've bent my wires pulling them out, weaving, so move back to a flat surface and reshape them around the stone. And make sure your weave is still nice and central there at the bottom of the stone too. So once you've shaped your wire around, mine wasn't central so we had to adjust it. Make sure your weaves are nice and central. And then we'll look at these front wires. So the second one, we're going to scoop it around, not quite to the edge of the stone. We want it to come around like this. And we'll do that on the other side too. If I can grab it. So those wires both come around like that. And then the middle two come around a little bit closer in. So you're getting that pumpkin shape on your front wires. So take a minute just to look over this shape and make sure it's how you want it to be. Make sure it's all nice and even. I think I'm going to recommend you use slightly thicker wires as mine are a little bit thin for this. So then at the top there we're going to do what we did earlier. Holding it all in place where you want it to be, we're just going to straighten those wires. We're going to bend them, sorry, so they all come up together. So they join in with that bunch at the top there. And then you can remove your stone and adjust your wires so they all bend in the same place. Do you know what I mean? And then make sure it's all still nice and central. Happy with that, hold your wires at the top here and just part them a bit so they're not crossing over each other and you can see where all the wires are. Because they do tend to come together and cross over. So now when we bring the wires together, hopefully they won't be crossing over each other. Take your weaving wire, holding that piece together the best you can. We're going to wrap a few times, can't speak, we're going to wrap a few times around a back wire. Grace is trying to speak for me. We're going to bring it down to just where all the wires meet. And then holding them together so they don't cross over, we're going to go around the whole thing. They're gonna try and cross over, aren't they? So we're gonna go round several times. Just trying to straighten them out a bit. And then when they're all in place, wrap around one of these back wires 3 times just to hold it all together. Take a minute just to look at your wires. So we've tied them together at the top. Part those wires a little bit to try and hold it better. Now these middle wires do tend to swing around a little bit, so you want to get it all nice and central the best you can. Make sure these side weaves are nice and central. It'll all hold together better once the stone's in. Make sure your bottom weave is quite central too. Look at that weaving wire from the beginning there. Press it down with your cutters. Or press it down with your pliers. To a flat surface. Position your stone and just have a look how those wires are sitting. What we're going to do, turn to the back. And holding that stone in the best you can, we're going to take this back wire. So I'm presuming you've already checked that your weaves are nice and central. We're going to take this back wire and we're going to pull it over the stone a little bit to hold it in place. So I've pulled it in each side of that side weave there, and I'll do it to the other side too. I'll give it a bit of encouragement first. Give it a shove. Twist the wire over the stone, press it against the stone, and that should hold it in from the back. And those wires at the front, they're a bit more stable now. They will stop in place as soon as we start weaving them and bending them at the top. So looking at all these wires at the top, we just want the 2 back wires. So bend all the rest over for now. We'll deal with those in a moment. We just want the 2 back wires. Work out which 2 those are. So we're going to weave along these 2 wires. So take your weaving wire and we'll go around the 2 wires, coming up between those 2 wires. So we're doing the same weave, but now we're doing it just over 2 wires. Then we go around the top wire and around the bottom wire. So you go around 2, come up between, around the top wire, around the bottom wire. And we're going to do that for about 2 centimetres of weave. So I've done 2 centimetres of that weave for the bail, and you must keep pushing it together as you go. At the back, if you part the wires, it just helps with holding the bail straight. And then holding that down, we're going to take the weaving wire around the whole thing. So I'm going to position my wraps above the wraps that are already there. And then pull it nice and tightly, wrap around several times. And we'll finish with a few wraps around one of these back wires to pull it all in and attach it. So go 3 times. And that's our bail on and attached. We need to make sure that stays nice and straight there. I am going to recommend you start with thicker wires. These thinner wires keep bending all over the place. So now we've got four wires going out to each side there. And just double check that your front wire hasn't moved before we shape these wires, and that should hold it in place. So we'll start with cutting this wire from the back, the weaving wire. Cut that and press it around with your pliers. So I'm going to start on the right side. I'm going to start with the back wire. So I'm going to push the other forward so I can show you. And I'll take my round nose pliers. I'm going to grip that wire with the base of the pliers, and I'm going to go around and around. We're just going to go around and around. So I'm making like a swirly curly. So I made a few of these the other day in a miniature version, and I thought I'd do a full size one with more wires so we can do more and we've got more space to play with. So I'm just going around, and as I'm getting to the top you can see the curls are getting smaller. So now I'm going to pull this around, because you can see it's quite high up. If I pull that around, it just brings it back down a bit lower, so I'm curling the bottom of it. And then I'm going to shape that so that it comes out a little bit at the base. If we focus on each curl, so I'll have it coming down to start with, and then I'm going to slowly start shaping it to go around. Is that working? So I've pulled it around that way, so it comes down at the bottom. I'll pull the bottom down a bit more. And so you've got this curl coming up. Now ideally it would be best if that went around that side. So it's gone through the bail. Reposition your curl if it's moved a little bit. And then I'm just going to bring this over and go around the bail. So many wires sticking out everywhere around the bail here to attach. And I'll press that around into place, cutting off that excess. I keep trying to grab, there we go. So that's squeezed around there. Wires at the back. just planning to cut these off short, but I might attach wires to them. So I'm going to cut mine off here because I know I don't need them that long. Because you've got more room than me, you can leave them long if you want. I'm going to take a wire from over this side. So next I'm going to take this next wire on the right. I'm going to push it down at the base a little bit. And I'm going to scoop it over so I'm following this swirly curly. And I'm going to go over the top and around the bail. So it follows around the shape. So I'm going to take the end around the bail. That curl, like that. So we've kind of framed it. And then holding that wire, I'm going to take it around the bail again, kind of squeeze it. So I'm going to take this front wire on this side and push it down at the base a little bit to start with. And then I'm going to scoop it over so it comes over the front of the bail and it kind of fills that space in the middle and it comes over to the left. I think my bail has gone a little bit wobbly, so then take the next wire in line, pushing that down a bit as well. I'm going to scoop that around and I'm bringing it over the front of the wire, taking it below that one and bringing it out again to the left. I think I'm going to pop a bead on that one. I've just realised we need to add a load of beads, don't we? Let's pop a bead on that one. Push them right up to the top for now. So we've got those two wires now coming out to the left. I love these thinner wires, but these are a nightmare. I think we should keep the thinner wires for the smaller pieces. Right, next I'm going to take this front wire on this side. I'm going to push it down at the base and I'm going to scoop it over the other way. And as I bring it around, really pushing it down at the base there, I'm going to pop a bead on it. I'm going to put a slightly larger bead on this one, so I've got a 4mm bead. And I'm going to take it around, coming across the front there. And then I'm going to go around again. So now I'm curling in front of the bead. And then I'm going around again, because we're doing a swirly curly pumpkin today. So each curl is a little bit smaller. I'm just going to tip them that way a little bit. That's what I want. So I'm going to take this wire next. I'm going to scoop it around. I'm going to bring it underneath that wire so it kind of frames this here. Then as it goes across the front, I'm taking it behind those other wires. I'm going to pop beads and leaves on that wire. So I put a little leaf on first, so that sits this side. And then I've put some little beads to go in the middle. So we've got a 2, a 3 and a 2mm. And then holding that wire in place, I shall take it around the back. So it comes over this side. And I want my beads to be in the middle and that leaf to go there. I know I can get 2 wires through these little beads. So I'm going to take this curly one through the bead. That's an option for me because I can do that if you don't have a leaf, or don't have a leaf you can fit 2 wires through. You could just finish that with curls there. I'm just going to pull that through and then reposition that leaf back down there. I'm going to cut that wire that I've just put through the leaf and I'm just going to curl it to finish off that. Putting a curl across the front of the leaf, I think. So next, what have we got left? I really want to add a weave. I think I'm going to weave across these 2 wires here. So turning it upside down, I'm going to take your weaving wire. I'm going to start with wraps around, holding it upside down the top wire. Slide it down. Right the way to the bottom of those 2 wires there. Gracie gently snoring in the background. And we're going to wrap around both wires twice. And then come up between those wires and go around the upper wire 5 times. It's a little bit awkward while we're weaving so close to the top end of these wires, but that'll get easier as we move on. So keep pressing it together as you go. So that's 2 wraps around the 2 wires and then 5 wraps around just the top wire. So I've done 12 repeats of that weave. Keep pushing it together as you go. And I've scooped it around to come out to this side. And I've also put it there so it holds those middle beads in place. So make sure the middle beads are along there. I need to cut this wire off from the beginning. Really pleased how that's looking. So my 12 repeats reaches nicely to that side there. So holding that, I'm going to bend it over to the back there. And then at the back, I'm just going to wrap around that back wire there. So I'm going to take those wires around, bending them from the ends. Take them around that back wire. And this one. With the thicker ones. So I'm pulling them around. And when you adjust wires at the back, you must then keep checking the position at the front because it does tend to pull a little bit. So check your position, tighten them up. By tighten them up, I mean squeeze them, don't pull them because you'll pull it out of place. And we can cut those wires off and press them around into place. need to cut this wire off too and press that end down. Push that wire down. If it has come up a little bit, because you still need it to support the stone at the back, may have pulled it out of shape a little bit. Alright, so we've got 2 wires left and we've got that one that went to the back. So I'm going to take the front one, push it down at the base. You can guess what I'm going to say. Curl it over. And then as it comes around, I'm going to pop a bead on it. So I've got a 3mm bead here. And I'm going to take that wire around again, a little bit lower down. And I'm going to then take that wire to follow the weave. And then this last wire, I'm going to push down at the base like I always do. Scoop it over. And it's going to go over the weave one and come around under that weave, so it's following that weave around and over the side. So when you've got it in place, you know it's in the right place, then bend it over the back. Same goes for this wire too. When it's where you want it to be, if you can hear me over all the noise Grace is making, you can take that over the back too. Making sure you hold it to the front so you don't lose it. So we've got a wire above and below that weave. And then those 2 wires can finish off the same around that back wire on the back. So I finished off those wires around that wire at the back. Oh, I can see it's lifted. So you have to pull that down. Whoop. So you have to pull that down because you want that to still hold the stone in there. So we've got 1 wire left and we've still got these 2 wires at the back to finish off. This wire, so holding my beads in place, this wire is going to come up and around, and I'm going to go over the bail. I want it to come out a little bit further, so we're really adding volume to the top of that piece there. And then I'm going to wrap it around the bail. I hope there's enough room left around the bail for a cord. So gently pull that through, repositioning that wire. I want it to have quite a big shape to it. So I'm holding this wire and I'm pulling it around because I don't want to pull it and it goes smaller. I want it to be quite a big shape. So looking at the top of the bail, I'm going to pull all these wires to the front a bit so we can still get the cord through the bail. Otherwise I've made the bail useless, haven't I? So you need to still make sure that you can fit your chain or your cord through there. I may suggest that you do a slightly longer bail so you've got a bit more room to play with. So I'm just going to cut that wire and press it around. So now we need to finish off these 2 wires at the back. I'm going to cut them short and I'm going to curl them. If you're having trouble with your stone, if your stone's popping out, you can bend these wires out and attach to these wires wherever you think you need it if your stone is coming out. If not, you can just cut them off and we'll curl them to finish them. So curl them around and then just check that they're similar heights, sizes. And we're done. I just need to I'll run and oxidise it and I'll come back and show you a few little things that I've done before I'm going to oxidise. I've pulled this wire forward a little bit on both sides. And I've pushed the top of these wires in so it scoops out more at the bottom, giving it more of a pumpkin shape. You can do that with this wire too, just very subtly. Just helps with that shape. I think I'm going to part these wires a bit too. Just helps it grip onto the stone a bit better. Probably shouldn't be using nails. Happy. I'll go next. So there we have it, finished. I've oxidised mine. If you'd like help oxidising yours, I've done videos on oxidising and aftercare. I'll put links in the description below. I hope you managed to follow this tutorial okay and I didn't cause too much confusion. I will see you all, as always, in the next one. Bye for now. Bye.